Well, this morning, police are still searching for a motive in the Brown University and MIT professor shootings after the suspected killer was found dead in a New Hampshire storage unit, along with an extensive collection of guns, ammunition, and body armor.
This, as we learn, he reportedly took at least 4 trips to Boston from his Miami home in the months before the deadly attack.
Fox News contributor and retired NYPD Inspector Paul Mauro was at the scene in Providence last week, and he joins us now. Paul, you were all over this case. What new have you learned from your sources about motive, why this guy had so much hate in his heart, and what connection he had?
Jay, I think the motive is still very, very murky. We don't understand why he did what he did with all of this pre-planning, and yet, despite the pre-planning, he commits suicide when he still seemed to be in the clear. He did this thing where he held onto the car and became overdue. So despite all of this stuff that he did to try to stay under the radar, he would have tripped an alert on the car. That doesn't make any sense. So in terms of what was in his head during these 2 awful events, I think it's very, very hard to ascertain. In terms of what we've heard new, I did an interview last night on the Ops Desk, my blog, with John DePietro, and learned a lot. First of all, apparently a janitor named Derek, who worked as a janitor at Brown University, had previously, that is before the shooting, according to him, alerted the Brown University police that there was an intruder that had been lurking around the building, but yet nothing was done. We also learned that there were a number of electronic devices discovered in the storage unit that he had, and a number of other things, perhaps thumb drives that he had, all of which point to the idea that this was some elaborate plot. He did a lot of casing, a lot of pre-planning, a lot of recon, but in retrospect, none of it seems to make sense. And I just hope that the authorities come out soon with some sort of a backgrounder so that we can all try to understand this thing.
Well, here's what we do know about him. We know about his immigration status. He entered in the year 2000 from Portugal on a student visa. In 2017, he received a green card. His history at the university, at Brown University, he was there from 2000 to 2001 as a grad student. Then he took a leave of absence. He studied physics, probably in that same building where the shooting occurred. And then in 2003, he withdrew from Brown. His connection to MIT is that he studied at the same school as that professor back in Portugal. They likely knew each other from that time in Portugal. I have read some reports that he was envious of the professor that he shot for some reason, but still doesn't make a lot of sense. When you were on the ground and you were observing, you're an excellent police officer, an investigator. What is your impression of the investigation and the investigators here? Are you impressed?
Well, I divided into 2 pieces, Rachel. The piece over the weekend is when it was quite shambolic. They didn't seem to have their legs under them. The protocols for working together between Brown University, the Providence PD, state police, it didn't seem like there really was a response plan in place. And that's not the kind of thing you want to make up as you go. My understanding is there has been an air gap between Providence Police Department and the Brown University Police Department. Look, the Brown University Police Department, it appears to be, according to the leadership and the quotes online, seem to be the typical higher education, very progressive kind of police department that leans into the idea that no policing is the best policing. But once they got past the fact that they had this bad lead on the weekend, which slowed them up, and then while they decided that is to say they believed that they had the right person in the hotel room over the weekend, that was when Brown University announced, okay, this thing appears to be over. Students, you can all go home. We're going to call the end of the semester. That meant all the witnesses scattered all over the country. So we saw a similar thing in Coburger. So what happened realistically is that over the weekend, they got a couple of real bad breaks and they suffer from the lack of cohesion. Once it got going, however, I'm going to part B now, starting on Monday, within 4 days, by Thursday, they had him located and would have taken him down had he been alive. So my point is, if you talk to any homicide investigator anywhere and say, on your most difficult case, would you take a 4-day runtime? Every one of them will take it. So I do feel between Monday and Thursday, when Providence really took the thing over and ran with it, they did a pretty good job.
Okay, real quick on the homeless person who was living in the basement, the tipster that posted on Reddit, he saw a suspicious person. He said John, his name is, could be in line for a $50,000 award, but for now, he's off the streets. A source confirmed he's being taken care of at the federal level in a hotel being fed. And of course, he was a student there. You think he should get the 50?
I do, in the sense that he did come forward. I wish instead of posting on Reddit a few days later, he'd immediately come forward, because his encounters were day of, and that stuff was plastered all over the place. That is the images of the shooter. So had he come forward more quickly, we may have saved this poor professor from MIT. That said, you know, technically, from what I understand, the reward says that you have to have an arresting conviction, and this wouldn't qualify. I think actually he'd be better off not getting the reward, and then everybody will be outraged, throw up a GoFundMe, and he'll make a lot more than the $50,000.
Good point.
Good thinking.
Thanks, Paul.
Yeah.
He still shouldn't have been in that building, though.
That's right.
I'm glad he came forward, but he waited, delayed. The people on Reddit have to encourage him to do it because he was in the building living there. That's a huge problem.
Does that show how big the security is?
Yes.
Come on.
Yes.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.